I would like to welcome all the participants, but especially a warm welcome to Esther, Adot, Giménez, and Sonja Mikeska, our speakers for today. Welcome at the discussion starter session, The Road to Meaningful Standards and Criteria in Higher Education Institutions. My name is van Zutven, and I will be the chair of the meeting. And during this session, we have two discussion starters. And this session has three parts. At first, the discussion will be initiated by Esther Adot Giménez. She is project manager at the Catalunya University Quality Assurance Agency in Spain. And she will present a project for the development of a Quality Indicators Scoreboard. And it's a collaborative project between 5 higher education institutions and 2 quality assurance agencies. And after her short presentation, you will be invited to join the discussions with your experiences, questions, or other thoughts. And the second discussion will be initiated by Sonja Mikeska, and she is quality manager at the Münster University of Applied Sciences in Germany. And her presentation starts with the uncertain and complex context of universities. And she raises the question, what does it mean for the management of quality in teaching and learning? What can agile thinking and agile methods bring us? And after her discussion starter, you are again invited to join the dialogue. And at the end of the session, the third part, Esther and Sonja will reflect on the complementarity of both approaches. But we start with a project of the Quality Indicators Scoreboard. And I would like to invite Esther to start her presentation.
Hello, good morning. I'm going to share my screen to see the presentation. Oh no. Can you see the presentation now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. We'll try again. Okay, now. You can see my screen now?
Yes, I can see the screen now.
Okay, I would like to introduce you to this Erasmus Plus project that is trying to build up a scoreboard that would like to achieve 3 important goals. First of all, is to build a framework that is shared for all the higher education institutions, taking into account all the difference and diversity of these institutions, and allows them to do a benchmark between them. Secondly, we would like these indicators are relevant for all the stakeholders, all the community, and also provide useful information. So secondly, and then very important for the internal higher education institution, is that these indicators supply valuable information for all the levels of the management and decision making. That means that not just the main directors of this institution as rectors or deans, but also teachers in charge of coordination of the study programs have useful information. How we do that? Okay, all the partners in the project were looking for these indicators going through the EQAF and academic and technical articles. One of the criteria was that EQAF should be assessed externally from another agency, and also academic and technical articles that are relevant in quality assurance. So after this first analysis, the project recalled 500 indicators that in the second step were analyzed and classified into 50 indicators that were the more common, the more useful. And also from these 50 indicators, 27 were considered as basic indicators. So indicators that should be common to all the higher institutions. How we select these 27 indicators, we use a methodology, or you can say criteria, that we call SMART, that also is first, these indicators have to be focused on efficiency and effectiveness. So we are not looking for a very detailed picture. So they have to show us what is important. We are going to the really important information for the institutions. Also, they are significant for all the stakeholders, and they are answering their needs. They are appropriate. That means that they are meeting the quality standards. So we are aware that all the institutions should be assessed externally, and all the external and all the agencies we used to share the same and common criteria. Then also have to be harmonized, so they can show us the best practices that are doing all these different institutions, and also transversal, that they can be used in different contexts, and different higher institutions. So how we put this in a scoreboard? Well, we take into account 3 different areas that all the higher institutions had to take away, into account: the 3 missions of the higher education institutions: research, teaching and learning, and relations with the society. Also, we take into account the 10 ESG, and then the manager decision levels that are operational, tactical, and strategical ones. And well, as I told before, they are divided into basic and recommended indicators. So basics are what have to be common to everybody, and recommend that maybe are not compulsory, but will be interesting to have. It depends of the institution.
Esther,
so yes,
there's just 1 more minute left for your presentation. So focus. Maybe you can focus on a few main points.
Well, I would like to say that for what us was very important, I don't know if, is to do a non-bureaucratic set of indicators on something useful that can be shared. The most important thing is to show a transparency from all the institutions that can share best practices, and also for the community and students and external stakeholders. They can compare institutions, and they can see all the different characteristics of these institutions, and build this trust in the institution. So the final question we would like to address to the audience is if they can have a little reflection about their indicators in their institution, if they clearly show the direction the institution is taken. I don't know if I'm going to stop sharing.
Yes. So, Esther, you have a question for the audience, but the audience has also some questions for you. So,
Great.
The questions are coming in. What would you prefer? Shall I ask some questions from the audience for you?
Yes, please.
Yes. We have the question from Alexander Wiep, and he asks if you already. Do you already have take up the implementation in institutions of the scoreboard?
No, some of the indicators are already implemented in the institutions because they are taken from the EQAF, they are implemented and certified, but some of them not because are coming from another resources like articles or technical reports. So next step in the project is to do a guideline guidelines on how to implement that. And it's very interesting because now we are interviewing responsibles of different levels in the institutions and asking them how they see the difficulty of this implementation, and are responding very well. Some of them they find very interesting, but also very difficult to get. So this is the challenge now for the project.
Okay.
To find a way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And we have another very important question because a lot of people want you to answer it. Esther, can you tell why you choose institutional level and not program level? For the meaningfulness, I can imagine that for instance, both potential students as well as graduate employers are more interested in program information.
Well, the thing is that we realize nowadays the EQAFs are very focused in program quality assurance, but the partners would like to widen the focus, the scope of that, and see all the whole picture of the institutions. It's true that the employers should be very interesting in the study programs, but as in our experience, we realize that sometimes they don't see just the program. They see what is the environment of this program and the context, and also what are the relationships between a society and the university. Maybe there are more than students that want to know too how is the possibilities of research, what is the research they are doing, maybe master students. And so is that the reason we just decide to open the focus.
Okay. And there's a question, could we see the scoreboard? Otherwise, it's difficult to put questions.
Yeah.
Yes, but because of the time, you were not able. But maybe because of this question, it's an important question. Maybe I can ask you, you have several...
I have several slides. Maybe we have go through the strategical ones.
Yes, maybe you can take just one or two of the
I'm doing now.
Examples. And I hope so you share the screen.
Yeah, look. If you can see.
No, it's
no.
We can see the screen, but I cannot read it. Is it possible to
do wider?
Yeah, to put it wider and focus,
no?
For example.
Okay.
Yes.
This is now. Okay. Can you see better now? Oh, no.
No, I still see. I needed a little bit. I can see a little bit, and then maybe you can go to the left side of because the indicators are on the left side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, now?
Yes, and maybe you can mention some of them.
Yeah, look, for example, in the strategic level, as a basic indicator, we have the percentage of international students enrolled, because internationalization we thought is an issue now in our universities. And also you can see that we have a scope is the relationship with the society, and is related to one of the HEIs. And also we have the percentage of strategic and planning objectives fulfilled. That this is because we would like to show that the university or the institution is aligned with his strategic plan, how is to align. And well, you can see to the ratio of in the research that is very difficult to get. How is the dedication of the teaching in the research projects?
And maybe it's interesting to have one other example,
yeah,
of a different level. Maybe
in a different level. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Also, we have. Okay. Yeah, in a tactical level, as a basic, we have the percentage of graduates employed, and also you have the application of system data collection in different processes. That is a quality one, is in order to improve the quality system, or even the ratio of impact the scientific production in every teacher.
Yeah. And so you have mentioned several examples, and the audience is also interested in the question, how did you get to the list of 50 indicators? Who made the choice?
Okay, I'm going to
yes, thank you.
And share this one. Yes, this was a team was a team issue, because we decide first criteria was all the indicators that were more common and founded for all the partners. So we saw there are some indicators that constantly were raised by the EQAF and the articles we were analyzing. That one was the first criteria. The second criteria were that were well defined as in the formula and how to get it, because some of them were a little bit blur how to get it and what they were looking for, the indicator. And then the third criteria we put in common among all the partners, and we just were voting what we think were more easyable, yes, and following this SMART criteria that I explained before.
Thank you. I'll have to choose one last question because of the time. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry that you can't ask your question to the audience anymore, but the question is, do the institutions have, or do they have to have the same approach to quality?
No, I don't think they have to have the same approach, but they have to have the same way to calculate the indicators, to share and to show this information, to be transparent to all the community. Also, they can have different approach to quality, but this has to be transparent for everybody and published to everybody.
Yes,
I think this is going into the autonomy of each institution.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. And I can say that the indicators are on the presentation. So because you presented in the Excel file, but in the presentation, the audience will find the indicators on all three levels.
That's right.
So thank you. very much for this and also for the audience for the questions. And now we will go to the second contribution, and that's on the question what agile thinking can bring us in dealing with our rapidly changing environment. So I would invite Sonja. Can you take the floor and start your presentation?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Can you already see my presentation? Yes, you're nodding. Okay.
Yes, for me it's clear.
Okay, so thank you very much for having me here. You already said that I'm a quality manager at FH Münster University of Applied Sciences, and there I also work as a higher education consultant, where we discuss topics on higher education management with other universities and institutions. And one of our topics is agility, because it's quite used in the last times, and it fits very well to the topic of today, mainly about the trust. That's why I would like to shortly give you a discussion starter on agility and trust in quality management at higher education institutions. So I hope it works. Yes, today we live in a fast-changing world, as you know. So maybe you're familiar with the word VUCA. We live in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. You could see that in summer during the COVID crisis, also for the universities. And the stakeholders in universities were asking themselves, the students, will I still have success with all these limitations now? The teachers who had to change their teaching from one day to another are worried, will I get negative results, for example, in evaluations or in rankings, because I'm not used to digital teaching. The quality managers, they also had new questions. How can we now measure the quality of digital teaching? Or what do we do with our current strategies? Do we need an adaptation of our indicators? So you can see when things change fast, you need an agile mindset. And what is agility? Actually, I also brought you the definition. Agility is the ability to adapt and respond to change. Agile organizations view change as an opportunity, not a threat. So this quote is by Jim Highsmith, the software engineer and one of the founders of the so-called Agile Manifesto. And so here it's important, how do we come to look at not as a threat, but as opportunities? So what is important there is trust. And now what does it mean for higher education? So here our stakeholders, they need trust, for example, in the qualification of the graduates, in the learning outcomes, in the competences of the teaching staff, in the learning environment and the learning infrastructure, but also on reliable and transparent processes. So this is normally the task of us, the quality managers. And quality management helps also to build trust. And I'm sure most of you know the PDCA cycle by having a strategic plan with standardized processes where we go along. Then when we check, we use analytic tools or we use key performance indicators to see where we stand. And when we have deviations, we do something to reach the standards. So we create trust by making this VUCA world measurable and controllable. Now, what we can learn from the Agile world, I brought a quote from the Agile Manifesto. So here it said, individuals and interactions are more important than processes and tools. A working software more important than a comprehensive documentation. And customer collaboration more important than contract negotiation. And responding to change more important than following a plan. So this means for our quality cycle, besides the strategic plan, you have one big vision, but actually it's focused on values, and then you're quite flexible on how you get there to your end result. Besides the standardized processes, you have project collaborations in smaller projects and so-called sprints, which you focus on single aspects, where you also produce prototypes and then test it. After the test, you get a feedback loop and you talk with people, the involved people in so-called reviews and retrospectives. And then when you develop further, you also find the solutions while interacting with the individuals. So in this case, you create trust by making this VUCA world actually meaningful to all the relevant stakeholders. So in quality management, we have on the one side the quality assurance, where we do tick boxes, thinking boxes, and where we have to use frameworks and also to guarantee some standards, to reach some standards. And besides, we also have the area of quality enhancement, where we fill out the rooms of the frameworks innovatively, where we can think also outside the boxes in future labs. And here you can also use the agile methods to make your standards always meaningful. So now I also brought some questions that for thinking for yourself. So what is actually then the right balance between trust and control in quality
Sonja?
management? Yes.
Sonja, so I think you just have 1 minute or less than 1 minute. So
Yes.
I think you can now further on, but then the time is running out.
Yes. Okay, I just posed the 4 questions and then we can go into the discussion. So to think about what is of higher value for yourself. Is it a lively quality culture in your institution, or is it a perfect quality manual documentation? And as a quality manager, what do you want from your stakeholders in your institutions? Do you want them to adhere to the exact wording of regulations, or do we want them to act according to the current meaning behind it, which can change in COVID crisis or other times? So how much flexibility actually is needed in quality management to be adaptable in times of change and crisis, but also to be still comparable? And my last, and I think the most interesting question, which I find more interesting, when is actually the quality management system trusted from external and internal stakeholders? Because sometimes it's trusted from external ones when everything is transparent, and from the internal ones when they also have a safe space where they can try out new things. So that is actually the question which I also would like you to ask and you to discuss. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonja. So I don't see questions from the audience yet, but maybe can you, maybe somebody from the audience want to react on your questions? That would be nice. Can you mention the last questions, then the audience can think about it?
Yes, so my last question was, when is a quality management system trusted? Then from the external and from the internal stakeholders, and where do you find a right balance? Maybe there are also some good examples from the audience. I would love to also hear from you about it.
Okay. I think it's a good question if somebody has experience. I see the first reaction by Sylvia Santos. So I would also like to invite somebody who wants to participate live. Then please mention it in the question and answer possibility. So one reaction from Sylvia Santos: quality is still seen by many stakeholders as bureaucracy and a threat to pedagogical autonomy. So how to promote a lively quality culture? How to promote a lively quality culture?
Yes, so that's actually one thing that the principles of agility can do, because sometimes professors are scared away if you come with statistics and with indicators, and they think, oh my God, it looks like bureaucracy. But you can also, for example, I can't explain now all the agile methods, but there is something like design thinking, where you really try to understand the needs of the person. And so there, when you really invite the stakeholders, students, professors, anyone you would like to deal with in your quality system, and in a workshop where we really deal with their special needs and ask them as a person. So when you just don't develop a quality manual just for bureaucracy regulation reason, but also what is the reason to create meaning with it? What's the meaning behind it? And then when you really try to pick up the people where they are and involve all the stakeholders which are affected later by the rules, I think then a communication, and through the communication also a lively quality culture can develop much faster. That's my experience.
Okay, so you have experience in with those methods, like the design thinking you mentioned, and there were some workshops, or I didn't quite hear the example. What was the workshop about?
So I just attended several also workshops where we used agile methods, and I also gave workshops, so it can be actually applied to anything, but the method it's about the needs of the persons involved. So you really deal with the human beings at the center, and then you try to find out what's the meaning of the rule, what do we try to regulate, and then really start from there. And for example, you also can create persona and try in a didactic workshop, try to concentrate on the persona of a professor. Who is that professor? What does he need from me as a quality manager? And then you just have a different approach, for example.
Thank you. I have one question I would like to ask you, and then I would like to invite Luciana Sergetti. I hope I pronounced the name, because she wants to, she would like to speak to us. But first, for you, the question from the audience by Eltjo Bazen. With your last question for the audience, were you looking for indicators of trust, or were you looking for ways to reach it?
With my last question on the slide, you mean?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Yes, so exactly indicators of trust. So I think also to find the right balance. So now you give the question back to me, so I could answer it from my perspective. So I think it is of course necessary to have a set of fixed indicators where you also can measure things, but then it's also okay to have an indicator-free experiment room where you can say, okay, and now for one semester we just try out something new which is not according to the laws, and it's just an experiment, and after that semester, or even after that 2 weeks, we just explore what we learned, and then we can also tune it into the system of indicators. So I think it's also kind of a balance of some rooms with more freedom, and of course a lot transparency in all the standardized processes, which is of course necessary.
Thank you. Now I would invite Luciana Sergetti to join the discussion. So please use your microphone and camera. And then I hope you will get the floor to us. Yes, thank you. Yes, Luciana.
Sonja from the University of Bologna in Italy. Okay, I just want to share a comment with you. For me, from my experience, a good quality assurance system, agile and trustworthy, is something that should live behind the scene. So it is not something that you have to show up to stakeholders, to show up to the public. Mm-hmm. It works when it's something that stays behind the scene and just works smoothly. And the success trick for me is when an institution, a department or university decide himself to build up a quality assurance systems. So trust, I mean, the most powerful trust element for trust is the autonomous willingness to have a quality management system.
Okay.
So for us, being public, I mean, especially for public university, this is not very common because we generally have subject of outside accreditation processes. but when it works, it's like a silent river.
Okay, thank you very much. Is it okay that I ask Sonja for a comment on this one, because you have an interesting experience or vision? Sonja,
Yes, so I totally agree with what was said, and I like the expression that quality assurance system is best when it's like a silent river, because yes, that is true. When it's like a silent river, it's just included, so quality is included in all the processes. The people are enthusiastic about what they are doing, and some of my colleagues said the eyes are glowing and people are inspired. So that is when really the quality culture is alive, and you can't force that onto people. So, and I think it's always good to encourage initiatives which come from single, whatever she said, faculties, and always to encourage initiatives like that and not do it the other way around. So I totally agree.
Thank you very much. We have time for just one last question, and I will ask the question with the most votes. It's an interesting question from Melinda Sabo. To what extent are institutions reflecting on the ESG in developing new standards and criteria? So, Sonja, can you say something on that?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's
shortly, because we don't have much time.
Okay, I try to be very short. That's part of the agile system. You always have time boxes.
Oh.
So yes, it's always good to keep reflecting the ESG and not to have it as a Bible, which will be valid for the next 100 years. So keep reflecting on it. Do it every year, even annually. Do a review with it, and then try to answer the question: what does it mean for us now in the current situation? And maybe then you will find a different answer than the year before.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for both presentations. And now I would like to go to the last part of this session. The last part was that we have two very different presentations, but they are complementary on the subject. And I would like to invite Esther and Sonja to reflect on it. So please, Esther, will you start it with your reflection?
Well, I think even it seems in the first view that there are very different points of view. I think they are very complementary, and maybe what we have to find is the point where both points of view meet, because what our project is presenting is pretends to be a wide frame that allows all the diversity of institutions to have a picture, to can compare and to can improve them. And also I very agree with the last person who interviewed that of course the quality assurance or the quality system has to be behind the scene and to be something silent. And sometimes people is very aware about the word quality, and they don't want to react very against that. And sometimes it's better to don't say the word and just ask them what they think that they can do to improve, or what they are doing already. Because what we as an agency, what we saw at sometimes the quality system that the quality management managers explain to us is one, and the things that are doing the teachers or the staff is another, and is even better. And sometimes it's because there was no communication, or of course the agencies we have to assess something that is common to everybody and is the same suit to everybody.
Yes.
And they have to adjust. It's just
Thank
that.
You. Thank you very much. And I saw Sonja already giving a sign that she agrees with you, Esther. But maybe, Sonja, you can also give your comment.
Yes, thank you. So you asked us to reflect on the complementary of our approaches, and I saw that we have a lot in common. First of all, both of us were quite output and outcome oriented. Yeah, remember, so the product should be working in the end. And first, I also like the SMART definition with Esther. So here also short and meaningful, that both are words which are really essential for agility. And then I would just say that one is the basis, the indicators, the set of indicators could be a good basis where you can start on which points you would like to focus. And then on these focus areas, you can apply agile thinking, and you can get deeper with it to really adapt it, transform it, reform it in a change process, for example. So, and of course, you can, I think the immediacy effect of the agile thinking is then just picking out some indicators could be more useful for the agile method than other indicators.
Okay. I'm sorry, but Sonja.
But I see build up on what you presented today.
Yes. I think I missed some words because your microphone was away, but it were just a few words. So I think the message and the complementarity has been wonderful illustrated. Thank you very much, both Esther and Sonja, for your contribution. And also thanks to the participants for their comments, for their questions and their remarks. And the animated discussion.